Hello friends, welcome to TD Homestead. Today is Monday, March 24th, 2025. It's officially spring. It has been for a few days now, but we're still about 9 days from our average last frost date, which is April 2nd. And the extended forecast doesn't really look like we're going to have any worries with any frosts or freezes. Wednesday night this week, it does say we're going to get down to 37. So that's a little colder than I'd like. But we're going to go ahead and wait till April 2nd before we get any of our vegetables planted out and before we can really be assured that we're not going to have any frost. Because once we get to April 2nd, we'll be able to look out and we'll make a call from there. Anyway, this azalea bush that I'm looking at right here, it says it's spring, but that's not what we're here to look at. I just wanted to stop and look at that for a second. So here is our loquat. We've started a lot of videos here looking at this. It's doing great. Lots of new growth. It didn't flower for us this year. Hopefully next year. And then we'll just have to see if they can survive our winter. But it's otherwise doing great. Right there behind it is just some butterfly bushes, which is a big surprise to me that they're able to survive the 14-degree temps we had over the winter and snow and ice. I didn't expect them. I figured they would have to come back up from the roots again. Might as well walk over here and check out our pineapple guava. It survived. It did take a little bit of leaf damage here and there, but otherwise it survived pretty good. Totally unprotected all winter long, and the coldest we got was 14 degrees. But we had plenty of nights in the lower 20s and had some snow and some ice. I don't see any new growth yet, but otherwise it's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and go over to the in-ground orchard. Most of the stone fruit are pretty much finishing up with their blooming. The apples are just now getting started. As far as the stone fruit, we don't know for sure if what has pollinated or not, but I did see some good signs here on this Methley plum. If you look close right there, that's two little plums trying to form. So hopefully we'll get some Methley plums. And this here Fuji apple, looks like it's about to start blooming. No, nothing's opened on it yet, but I can see where it's trying to form some blossoms here and there. And then we got one apple off that tree last year. The next one is the Gala apples. Same thing. Not sure how much blooming we're going to get off it, but I think we got like 5 apples off of this one last year. And then the Honey Crisp is next. We haven't gotten any apples off of it yet, but it does look like it will flower. There's another one right there. But the last apple tree is the Pink Lady, and it is blooming. It's about to go into full bloom. We got one flower open right here. So maybe we'll get a Pink Lady apple this year. And then the US 942. Don't see any signs of blooms, but I see tons of new growth everywhere. Focus in right there. Pretty much every branch has new growth growing on it. All over. But nothing that looks like blossoms. That made it through our winter. No problem. Totally unprotected. And then our other pineapple guava, which this part of the yard is way more, it's way more cold winds. It's far less protected than the other end of the yard. And this took a lot more damage, but if you look close, you can see there's new growth trying to come out, like right there. That lighter colored stuff is new growth. There's lots of it. So certainly didn't kill it. Took a little beating, but it's doing just fine. I don't think we're going to get any pears this year. This is our Ayers pear. Really need to try to get these branches spread out some. We got our other loquat on the lot over there. Seems to be doing fine. And our Kiefer pear, it's right there on the other lot. And then right there is a peach tree. And that's a Red Haven peach. It's got a few blossoms on it. Here is one of our cherry trees, our Lapin's cherry. Don't see any blooms open yet, but it looks like it'll probably will have some. But I did notice today that our Stella cherry definitely has some blooms opening up right now. So maybe we'll get some cherries this year. We planted this in October of 2023. So really not a lot more going on with any of our stone fruit trees. Our picatum, I'm not sure if we're going to get any. I do see one that kind of gives me some hope right there. Looks like we might be going to get one right there. See maybe one other. We'll be lucky if we get a couple. And over here on the Herman peach, I can tell we're going to get some of those ripening soon. I can just tell by looking at the tips of them. That's going to turn into a little peach soon. Our pomegranates, Crimson Sky pomegranates, both of them are wide awake now. We should be seeing them flower sometime. I think they don't start flowering until maybe like June or something. I know you harvest the fruit in end of September and August. We got fruit off both of these last year, only one off of this one. And our Olympian fig survived the winter, no problem, unprotected out here in the ground. Our Violetta de Bordeaux, I'm not so sure it did. It's not looking too good. We may have lost that one. That's pretty much the only plant of our in-ground plants that we lost. Actually, really, of any plant. Well, we lost one English lavender plant. So, to walk a little closer to the Red Haven peach that's on the other lot over here real quick. As you can see, it's got a few blossoms on it. Maybe we'll get a peach or two on it. It stayed in the container way too long. It's happy to be in the ground now. And here's our 10-degree tangerine. It did get some protection. We put frost jackets over it, and we had that water barrel, but it made it through with flying colors. Got lots of new growth showing up everywhere on it. Even this little tender branch right here made it completely through the winter, no problem. I see lots of good new growth coming right off the main stem there, so I'm liking that. We'll be getting this Cajun off of this pretty soon. Once we get past our April 2nd, hopefully. If everything looks good, we're just going to probably go ahead and move the barrels for the summer too. And then here's the Changshaw. This is the one we got from Madison Citrus Nursery, and that 10-degree tangerine over there we got from Mackenzie Farms. And as you can see, tons of new growth going on in there. It's not focusing too good. There you go. So This woke up pretty good. I don't see any signs of any blooms on either one of these. So may not get any fruit this year. We'll just have to wait and see. Maybe it'll surprise us and bloom a little bit later. Let's go ahead and walk over here and look at the container garden. If you look out here, you can see my yard's pretty soggy right now. We've been getting a lot of rain and the pond is full again. So that's a good sign. We'll go into the season at least with the pond full. Well, heck, let's just start right here with these four right here. These are the four that we got from Willis Nursery. I think it was in January. So that's our Bonanza dwarf peach tree, and it's looking pretty good. Lots of blooms on it. I noticed these blooms are a lot darker pink than most of the other peach trees, and it's looking good. You know, it was the biggest tree that was available at the time. If they'd have had something bigger, I would have probably gotten a bigger one. The one behind it is the leprechaun nectarine, and it almost seems like it's got a slightly lighter colored pink than most of the other peach or nectarine trees. So that's kind of different. This is supposed to be a fruiting size tree already. It don't get, it's a natural dwarf. And then this is our Vista White Loquat. It's looking a little rough, but it'll be fine. It's not gonna, don't look like it's dying or anything. It did lose some leaves down there at the bottom. And then the Angel Red Pomegranate, as you can see, it looking good and healthy. It's pretty much fully leafed out. There's a couple of branches down there I need to trim out of it that aren't alive, but for the most part, it's a good, healthy plant. Then here's our citrus. All this is looking really well. Even the Meyer lemons are starting to come out of there. Those were the ones that were looking the roughest, I think. And so down here are the four that we started from cuttings back in into October 2020, October 30th, 2022. Let's get that one. This one here, still a little yellow, but it's starting to come out of it, and lots of blossoms on it. And then that one there's actually got a full-size lemon. And then that one there is looking pretty good as well. One of these, this one right here, actually, see, it's got a lemon right there that's ready to size up. It won't drop that lemon, I don't believe. And then we have the fifth one over there that's a little bit older. It was started in like June of 2022. It's looking good and healthy. That's the healthiest looking Meyer lemon we got. This is our oldest and only grafted Meyer lemon. It's just now starting to wake up good and try to get some blossoms going. So we didn't trim it up at all. Most of the other trees we trimmed. We didn't trim this one. And this is our Meyer lemon that we purchased in March of 2022 from Home Depot. And it's barely starting to show some signs of waking up. It's behind this one over here, but it does have 3 small lemons on it that aren't quite fully ripe, that came on from a late bloom. And behind it is our, so that's the Shishan. Tons of new growth on it, and it's looking pretty healthy. I see a little bit of discoloration on some of them leaves, but overall it's looking pretty good. And this one is the Shiro Kalist Vinyi, the hardest one to say. And it's got lots of new growth too, going all the way down. So I'm liking that. Matter of fact, the only one that's not showing much signs of new growth are the 2 Meyer lemons, which again, that one's waking up pretty good now. So this one's not showing much. And this one here is our Owari Satsuma that we've had since 2022, and it's given us a couple of harvests, but it's not woken up yet. Now, right next to it is the Brown Select Satsuma. Don't see any signs of any blossoms, but lots of new growth on it, all over it. It's looking good and healthy. And then behind it, that is a clementine, and it does have some blossoms all over it. So maybe we'll get us a clementine this year. So tons of new growth as well. We'll talk about a couple of those on the other side when we go back around over there. Here is our Travita orange, and overall it's looking pretty good. It has a few yellow leaves, but tons of new growth and blossoms. And then down there on the ground around it is the cuttings that we started a week after those Meyer lemon cuttings over there. And so they're all blooming. And if you look right there, I mean, there's a couple of little oranges trying to form. Will they hold? I don't know. These trees are pretty small, but I will try to. I'm gonna let them do what they're gonna do. But they are looking really healthy. And well, we'll go ahead and talk about the one right behind it. Is the ruby red grapefruit, and some of the older leaves are yellow, but has tons of nice new growth and lots of blossoms. So, I mean, it's doing pretty good. All that growth right there looks great. This one right here is a Changshaw from McKenzie Farms. It's got lots of signs of new growth, but no signs of any blooming. So, not sure we'll get any Changshaw this year, but we're probably going to go ahead and get that one planted in the ground. And then beside it is a Prague. I think we'll wait till we get around there and take a better look at it. Right here is the Glen Navel that we got from Home Depot last year. And it's got lots of blossoms on it. And I just noticed right there, there's your little Glen Navel orange. Now it may drop. This tree's not that big. But again, we're going to let it do whatever it's going to do. We got the two pineapple guavas in containers, this one here. And they actually started out as one plant. And we separated them. There's that one, looking pretty healthy. Next to the 5-gallon bucket, you can see it better. Then there's the bigger one. And so they're both looking good. A lot healthier than the ones that are in ground. Of course, they did. So that one right there did go through most of the winter outside. So it was right next to this greenhouse, but it was outside. It was only inside on the coldest. When it was below 20 degrees, I did put it in the greenhouse. I guess while we're standing here, the onions we planted the other day, there's some clear signs that they're all starting to grow, especially the ones that were the onion sets that I had saved from onions I grew. See all that's new growth on those. But even the other ones that we got from the feed store, they're looking pretty good. And over here, I planted some English peas and some sugar snap peas. And they've been taking forever to come up. I did notice that they're finally starting to show some signs of coming up. There's one right there. There's one right there. See one out here. Problem is, it may get too hot before we ever get any peas. We'll just have to see on that. Behind it's all our figs in containers. We really need to get them all in the ground. Every one of them's alive. So sitting here against the greenhouse, they all survived just fine. They're all waking up. Here we planted some spinach and some old lettuce mix or salad greens mix. And we didn't get very good germination on the salad greens mix, but the spinach, it's got pretty good germination. I probably can spread out some of those over there and take up some of this empty space, or either plant some radishes in there. I'm not sure what I'll do yet. And our potatoes, they're ready to be healed. They're pretty much at the top of this container there, and them there are as well. These aren't quite ready yet to be healed. These aren't showing any signs of coming out of the ground yet. So both of these were the worst, most dried up potatoes, and they're probably doing the best. Those are doing pretty good though, but all that was from our kitchen stuff. Grocery store potatoes that got old, and we used them out here. So here is our Everbearing Dwarf Mulberry we bought last year in the 1 gallon, and it grew a whole bunch. You can see it's close to 6 feet tall. That tallest branch there. It's been in this pot way too long. Roots are coming out of the bottom of it. I need to get it planted in the ground, but I did. It does seem to be doing just fine. Might actually get some mulberries off of it this year. And here's another one of these. Should have been planted already. It's still in the container we bought it in, which is pretty much just a 1 gallon. And that's your Primark Freedom Blackberry. But even though it's not been treated well, you see lots of blooms on that cane. And that cane right there, it's dead down to this spot right here. So that more than half of it, but that part of it there is looking good. And so this video is getting a little long, but I figured we'd just go ahead and run through all the stuff that we got going on in here. Let's walk around the other side of the trees here, and we'll take a look in the greenhouse. We didn't really talk about the limes much. So this is our Lisbon lemon. It's got plenty of signs of new growth on it, and has that one lemon that's still waiting for it to fully ripen. But it's about to have new blooms, and it's leafing out pretty good. Same thing with this lime tree, Bear's Lime. Lots of new branching in there coming out, and it's got blooms trying to come out as well. So should get some limes. And then this is our thornless key lime. It's loaded with blooms. I'm sure we'll get quite a few key limes off of it. And a lot of that barren branching looks like it's starting to leaf out. So there's some new growth right there. So that should be looking better soon. Don't look too bad though overall. I've talked about it before. I think I'm going to shorten that tree down a little. This is our regular key lime that has thorns on it, and parts of it looks healthier than other parts, but overall it's covered in blooms, and there's tons of new growth coming up. So I'm sure we're going to get lots of key limes. And we didn't show the small one down there. It started blooming first, so this will be the first one to give us any key limes. See right there's a little key lime trying to form for us right there. And that's just a little 1 gallon pot. That's a cutting from that tree there. Our soursops, they're hanging in there. They could be doing a little better, but overall they ain't doing too bad. But that's actually the root stock that the grafted part of those trees died. So there is that. Here's our variegated Eureka lemon. It's got blossoms on it and tons of new growth. New growth comes in kind of a purplish pink color before it changes to this variegated look, and then there's some blossoms. All the lemons come in with that pinkish hue. That's kind of how you can tell the difference between the lemons and everything else. Here's the Prague, looking a little spindly, but everywhere there's new growth on it, all over, up and down. Pretty much all the branches have it. So this should be looking a little better as the summer goes on, as we get into the summer. And then here's the variegated Mineola Tangelo. It's got tons of new growth coming on it. I see some of it seems like it's trying to wilt back, but It is putting on lots of new growth. It looks like they're going to get some blossoms in there too. Maybe we'll get one of those Mineola tangelos. There's the Russian kale. It's surviving along. I'm using it more like an ornamental than anything. But anyhow, coming in here. That's our miracle fruit. Still alive. It's not thriving, but it's surviving. And then the same thing with the avocados. All of them are alive, but none of them are doing great. Same thing with the star fruit. I've seen a little bit of new growth trying to come out on it, so we're going to get a chance to bring them back to life. Hopefully here in the spring they'll start looking a little bit better as things go on. Pineapple, still haven't gotten it repotted, but it's still looking good and healthy. No sign of any flowering yet, but it's chugging along. The moringa still hadn't cut it off. You got that little patch of new growth coming out right there, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off sooner or later. And then we got all our extremely cold hardy citrus, mostly trifoliate stuff. Well, this right here is our English lavender. It's survived. This one over here died, so there was one casualty we had. And it's starting to get dark, so it's gonna be hard to see. But in here we got some I Chang lemon seedlings. Well, they could be I Chang papaya. So I had someone tell me that's what they believe. So, the place I got the fruit says it was I Chang lemon. And then over here we got some Dunstan Citrumelo seedlings. There's about 6 I Chang lemon seedlings coming up there, and only 2 or 3 Dunstan Citrumelos in there, but we got some more planted in other containers. Here is our variegated flying dragon. It's definitely getting a little dark to see anything, but we're going to wrap it up real quick here. It has tons of new growth coming out on it. I don't know how well that's showing up, but it does. And we got a couple of flying dragon seedlings that we got from Baker Creek. That's one of them. It's got lots of new growth coming out on it. And that one there, it's not really woke up yet, but it will be soon. Like we got those last year. Down here is actually some basil, tomato, another tomato, and a pepper right here that we got from the feed store, and it's a 4-pack for $2.50. We didn't get our seeds started like we should have, but that's pretty much 67 cents a plant. I'm not sure we could have grew them ourselves cheaper. And the last thing we're going to squeeze over here. So here's our other tray of. So this tray of seedlings was in the house throughout the winter, and so the 3 on closest to the camera here are Dunstan Citrumella, and then on the other side is the I Chang lemon or papaya, whichever they are. And I noticed that the Dunstan Citrumella, a couple of those had 2 plants come from 1 seed, and one of these I Chang lemons did it. We got some more I Chang lemon in there that didn't come up. And then here in the front, these are X639. That one was the worst looking one. We cut a couple of nice bushy looking ones. This one here, and this is a US 942 cutting, rooted cutting. This back here is a US 852 seedling that we got from Kinsey Farm last year. There's lots of new growth coming out all over it. And then in the back, those 3 in the back there are Rich 16.6 trifoliate. And then the last thing we'll look at here is our rooted Lisbon lemon cutting right here that we actually started out rooting it in a cup of water, and it actually rooted. We didn't do it on purpose. We actually had it in a 5-gallon bucket intending to root it the normal way, but never got around to it, and it ended up rooting itself. You see it's blooming and has new growth. So with that, this video's gotten really long. We'll see how many people watch the whole thing. If you do, thank you for sticking around to the end, and until next time, be kind and enjoy your day.